this afternoon for an event that I don't think any of us really want to be here for. Welcome. I might not be the right person for this, Darlene. It's tough for me to talk when I cry. It's a gift that my father gave me. But I was trying to figure out what my position actually is here. I was hoping that it could be just introducing, saying hello and welcome, and we're all sorry. We're all sorry to be here for this one. And I was instructed to have it be light and airy, because that's Heidi, right? Heidi's light and airy. And I know she would somehow figure out how to lean over towards me in the middle of this conversation and crack a joke so that we could have a laugh, and then look back a couple of seconds later and she'd be crying. So she was a woman that wore her emotions on her sleeve. She was a really, really special person. I'm supposed to introduce myself. My name is Jason Hippler, longtime friend of Heidi, and someone who is very special to me and my wife. We have a great program here today to remember a woman that touched all of us in different ways. Over at the reception hall, we have a really cool memory wall that is filled with a lot of memories. I'm glad that we're all here again to be able to share the support that we need, to know that we all loved Heidi. We love that family. We love her kids. We love her stepkids. We love her husband. We love her parents. We love her step-parents. She will have left a hole for all of us. And I think it's really important for us to remember that we have two deaths. The first death is when we actually die, and the second death is when the last person says our name. So I think it's important for us to remember to continue remembering, reminiscing. We were over at the Mesa Grande reunion today, and their speaker was talking about remembering and how important it is for us to remember. Heidi, I think, is an easy person to remember because, like I say, she impacted every one of us so differently, and also so similarly. I don't know. I struggled with trying to figure out if I should write something down or not, because if I write something down, then I have to read it. But then it feels unprepared to not have something written down. And making sure that you say all the things that you need to. But I know that there are many people that go behind me that can fill in the story that is Heidi, who has us here today. So I think maybe the best way that we can really kick it off is by having a prayer. So let's bow our heads. Lord, thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for memories. Thank you for Heidi. Be with us as we remember. Help us to never forget. And please be with everyone who's coming up behind me. Give them courage, give them strength, and know that we all loved Heidi. We know you loved her also, Lord, and thank you for your name always being on her lips. It was a gift. She loved you, and we know that we will see her again with you. So thank you, Jesus. Amen. I think the rest is in the program that if you didn't get, it'll be a surprise for you. If you didn't get one, I know there's some more in back still, so next in line.
I just want to say thank you for all of you who are here. I didn't know what to expect as I walked in the church, and here are people that I haven't seen in a long, long time. That's the wonderful part of funerals and weddings, but very few other events. I have a letter that I've written to Heidi that I'm going to read to you. I just can't believe I'm standing here today, along with many friends, many of your friends with our family, but without you. My heart feels so heavy. I keep thinking that just a few weeks ago, we were celebrating your 48th birthday. Now I'm here trying to find words that could possibly say how much I love you, how proud I am of you, and how deeply I miss you. When I close my eyes, I hear your voice as clear as day. Every single time I called or you called me, you'd answer with the same joyful voice, "Daddy, Daddy, how are you?" I can't tell you how much I miss hearing that. That greeting always reminded me of the special bond that we shared. It was warm and loving, and it never got old. Lately, my mind is flooded with memories of you. Memories of visits, of conversations on the phone, of laughter, of hugs that always seem to last just not quite long enough. And right now, I keep going back to those times I came to visit you at your beautiful little farm, your hobby farm, as I like to call it, just like the one we had in Minnesota years ago. I remember the way you loved mowing your wide green lawn, actually acres of lawn. There was something peaceful and satisfying about it for you. And for me too. I'll never forget that one time before I came to visit, I asked that you not mow before I got there because I wanted to do the mowing. You agreed. And when I arrived, we spent time doing something so simple together. Something we both loved doing, mowing, and admiring the beauty of it when it was finished. That's one of those memories that sticks with me because it wasn't about anything big or fancy. It was about being with you, sharing something we both enjoyed so much. That's how so much of my time with you felt. It was always warm and simple, full of life, full of love. You had this amazing ability to make people feel cared for. You loved being with others, family gatherings, friends dropping by, or just a simple conversation on the phone. You always made people feel welcome, like they were part of something special. You were such a devoted wife and mother. The love you poured into your children, Anna and Noah, Savannah and Seth, and your marriage shows in everything you did. And you were a daughter any parent would be proud to have. You lived your life with kindness, with laughter, with a heart that was always open. It's hard to imagine without you physically here the sound of your voice, the hugs when I'd come to visit, the walks we took in the forest, walking together out there where I named it Heidi's Park, the way you'd light up when we'd spend time together. I will miss all that for the rest of my life. But I also know that your spirit is still here. You're with me in my heart, in every memory, in every story I tell about you. I see you in your children. Well, let's get it straight here. Oh, it's kind of a mess like I am. Babe, I got it. Yeah, thank you. You were a daughter any parent would be proud to have. You loved your life with kindness, with laughter, with a heart that was always open. It's hard to imagine life without you physically here. The sound of your voice, the hugs when I'd come to visit, the walks we took in the forest. I see in your children and oh my. The love they carry forward in the family you and John built. So this isn't goodbye, my dear Heidi girl. You'll always be my daughter, my sunshine, my joy. I will love you and miss you every day until the day I can hold you in my arms again. I love you more than words can ever say. Love always, Dad.
This idea of all of us getting up here to talk was my idea, and I'm wondering if it was a good one or not, but you will know us to the core. I used to get Heidi cute little things that said, "You are my sunshine," because she loved that phrase. And that's what she was. From the time she was tiny, she'd smile at everyone. She did not know a stranger. The world was a safe, happy place for her then. As she grew up, it became more than that, though, because she had a gift. She wanted to help people, and she really felt that the Lord led her to certain people at times who needed her help and needed what she had to give. It's what made her choose social work as a career. She loved people, and she wanted to make their lives better. And I would watch her make strangers into friends. I was never good at that, but she was an expert from the beginning. I'd watch her strike up a conversation with someone at the park or at the restaurant or anywhere. And before I knew it, there was a play date or a coffee date. It just amazed me how she was with people. So open, so ready to be friends. I love to watch my baby with her babies. And now they're all grown up. Well, not grown up yet, but they're teenagers. Some of them are grown up. She was the most fun mom ever. There was nothing too messy or too much work, nothing she didn't want to join in with them or lead them in doing. It's raining, let's go out and stomp in the puddles and run in the rain. Or it's snowing, let's see if we can find a hill to slide down. I wish I could say she learned that from me, but she didn't. I would be lying. And Heidi loved her critters. I have pictures of Heidi when she was just tiny, dragging her big old cat around, almost as big as she was. It would let her do anything. She dressed it in doll clothes. She put it in the basket of her little tricycle. She read to him while he sprawled on her lap, perfectly happy. So many dogs and cats went through our house. Hamsters, a lamb or two, the goats, Now, in the recent years, she even had pet chickens and ducks who followed her around. And her chickens were free range because she couldn't bear to pen them in and take their freedom from them. The goats used to take walks with us in the woods that Dan was talking about. And I loved those walks. I loved that woods. It was my all-time favorite thing to do when I was there. Walk on those beautiful paths that were opened up by people who love to walk in the woods. And Heidi cleared her area, the neighbors cleared their area, and there were so many wonderful places to be. I loved it. And next favorite thing to do was talk to her on the phone. I'd call her up, and she'd say, "Hi, Mama, how are you?" And we shared our lives. You know, the good things, the bad things. We could talk for hours and hardly know the time had passed. I so loved those times with her. Another of my very favorite things to do when I was in Michigan particularly was being in the audience when Heidi was on the worship team. Just one of my favorite experiences, because she praised the Lord with her whole heart and her whole body. The smile on her face was just heavenly. And along with that, I loved the way Heidi loved the Lord. Even though she wished she could find some healing in the here and now, she knew without a doubt that Jesus loved her and she was saved. We used to talk about how much we longed for the day when Jesus would come and take us away from this dark place. Now she's gone on ahead, and that loss has made me long for heaven more than anything else ever could. My visit last fall was a special gift from God. I was staying in the little apartment across the driveway, and I think John was out of town, perhaps, and neither Heidi or I was sleeping very well. And sometime in the night, after we'd said goodnight and gone to bed, I'd get a text asking, "Are you asleep?" Or sometimes she would just knock on the door and wake me up. And she'd come climb in bed with me, and we'd talk on into the night. And we did this on this trip night after night after night. It was the most special thing and the most amazing gift she could have given me. And I will never, ever forget it. My sweet Heidi girl, you are loved. You were always enough, even though sometimes you doubted it. You are beautiful in every way. Your heart, your face, your ways. And you are missed. Your calls, your hugs, your wonderful laugh, your silly giggles. And you are irreplaceable. I don't know how to go on without you. So I pray the Lord that He'll show us all the way. My prayer is that we see you again very soon. I love you.
Hi, I'm Todd, her brother, and I consider myself the luckiest among us here today, as I have no memory without Heidi in it. Heidi comes from a long line of strong Minnesota farm women. Ava begat Dorothy, Dorothy begat Darlene, Darlene begat Heidi, and Heidi begat Anna. Having known and loved all of these women, it was always interesting to me that Darlene was more like her grandma, and so was Heidi. Ava and Darlene enjoyed knitting, crocheting, making quilts in their own clothes, while Heidi and Dorothy were both stronger physically and were constantly outdoors gardening and wrestling animals and pets. But the one thing they had in common is that they all had green thumbs. Darlene was told it was unlikely that she would ever conceive, and so she adopted 2 boys, and then promptly conceived. This was before ultrasound, and the doctor then told Darlene that the speed of the heart rate indicated that she would have a boy. I like to think of this as Heidi's way of announcing that when she arrived, she would be keeping up with her brothers, and boy, did she. One time, when our grandparents, Dorothy and Chester, were staying with us, they decided it was time for me to learn how to ride a bike without training wheels. Bikes were Scott's thing, and I was perfectly satisfied with racing my big wheel close to the ground. So then Dorothy moved on to Heidi, even though she could barely reach the pedals. And within the day, Chester was taking the training wheels off. Heidi had no fear, and she wanted to be like Scott. Dorothy, in her way, then pointed out to me that my little sister was going to learn how to ride a bike before me, and I better get on with it. So I faced my fears and kept up with Heidi. All of us kids loved spending as much time as possible on Chester and Dorothy's farm in southern Minnesota. It was our own private Garden of Eden, and they loved having us kids around and indulged us with soda pop, whatever cereal we wanted from the grocery store, and once in a while, a special trip to the Dairy Queen in Waseca. At the farm, there was a hay barn with a rope hanging down from the middle of the roof, and the 3 of us kids spent many hours showing off to each other how high and far we could swing on the rope before falling into piles of hay. Heidi and I would get into Grandma's closets, filled to the brim with clothes from decades past. We would put on dresses and skirts and play Little House on the Prairie. We also collected and played with strawberry shortcake dolls, My Little Ponies, and Barbies. I'm able to have those memories now because we have a great mom who realized the important thing was that we enjoyed playing together. When we moved to Calimesa, Heidi decided one day that she needed money, and so she went up and down the street knocking on the neighbors' doors asking if they were hiring. She was 6. But wouldn't you know it, there was an elderly retired Adventist couple that lived up the street who hired her to come every Friday and clean for them. It was at this time that Heidi met one Erica Wise, now Hippler, in a Sabbath school in this very church, and hence a lifelong friendship began. Heidi returned to Mesa Grande Academy in the 5th grade and had a wonderful teacher, Mrs. Wenzel, who she dearly loved. And it was in this year that Erica introduced Heidi to one Lisa Hauk, now Morris. And the infamous triumvirate was formed. In high school at MGA, Lisa and Erica both had 2 fun, beautiful older sisters, Laurel and Patria. And Heidi had a geeky, awkward, gay older brother, me. But Heidi never skipped a beat and always had my back. And invited me along to the movies and bowling, among other adventures. And so the 3 sets of siblings formed a group of friendships of sorts, without which I would have had a very lonely time in high school. All 5 of these women lived according to Christ's example, that being one of inclusion, not exclusion. And they provided lifelong friendships and support to Heidi, and I want to say thank you to each of them for loving her. One year, Heidi joined me in attending Newbold College in the United Kingdom. And one time, Heidi was in a class called England Under the Tudors, and she couldn't stop giggling about it. I was like, what is so funny? And she said, get it? England under the Tudors. And then she'd wrinkle up her nose and laugh, giggle like you were in on a conspiracy of fart jokes with her. Often with Heidi, you couldn't exactly be sure if you were laughing with her or at her. But it didn't matter to her because she was laughing. That year, Heidi was cast as Hermia, and I played the role of Puck in the school's production of Midsummer Night's Dream. It was a beautiful production, performed in a decaying Italianate garden some of you may know as Sylvia's Garden. Costumes and makeup were taken care of by Joanna Pierce, a dear friend of both of ours from our Minnesota days. The play started before dusk, and by the end of the night, we were under lights so you could still see us in the night. After the first performance, Dr. Penny Mahone, the head of the English department and sponsor of the Drama Society, congratulated us all on what she inferred was one of the best productions ever in the history of Newbold. Her only note being that maybe tomorrow night, Heidi should wear a slip. After every performance, refreshments were provided to the audience, and there was Heidi with a basket shaking down every single audience member for donations to the Sylvia's Garden Preservation Fund. No one made it out of there without being hustled by Hermia once, if not twice. Several years later, when I was struggling to get myself on my own 2 feet, Heidi handed down to me the first car she ever purchased, a manual turbo Volkswagen Jetta. The car was white with black leather interior, and Heidi kept it in immaculate condition. The only problem was I couldn't drive stick. And so, because of her, I once again had to face my fears and grow. And now I never want to drive an automatic again. Without a doubt, the best decision Heidi ever made was to marry John Ault, or as I refer to him behind his back, Chester 2.0. Like Chester, John is strong, stable, and has a sense of humor that will sneak up on you. Savannah and Seth were little ones at the time, and Heidi loved them fiercely, and they bore the brunt of her learning how to co-parent. And yet, from what I saw, they always treated her with kindness and affection. One time, John and Heidi were visiting me in San Diego when they were pregnant. Heidi was so incredibly beautiful. It was like she was radiating sunshine and happiness from her skin and her hair and her smile. After they had Dorleen, Dorothy and Chester were so excited when they got pregnant again, but something went terribly wrong and they lost a baby boy, and Dorothy almost lost her life and could no longer have children. Although they didn't know it, Heidi and John redressed this family tragedy by bringing to the world a beautiful, healthy, tow-headed baby boy they named Noah. Sometime after John and Heidi moved to Michigan, I called her one day, and she always picked up my calls with, "Hello, brother." She said she didn't have much time to talk because a chef from a restaurant was stopping by to buy eggs from her. Of course, Heidi had a side hustle hawking eggs to some chef, as one does. I told her that was so Dorothy of her. The thing that I am proudest of Heidi is that she moved her family to Michigan, where she and John created their own version of the farm Heidi so loved from her childhood. And she spent the happiest moments of her life there, with those that brought her the most comfort, love, and joy. Noah, Anna, Seth, Savannah, and John.
So my name is Erica, and I actually met Heidi right here in Calimesa Church in the Sabbath school. We were just 6-year-olds about to start kindergarten, and our moms weren't eager to send us to school yet. Since we were quickly becoming fast friends, they arranged a homeschool year for us together. I don't really remember any schooling taking place, although I'm sure there was. But what I do remember were sunny days with lots of giggles while slurping up tomato soup in our bikinis by the pool. It was from those lighthearted beginnings that would develop a bond so deep that it would be the beginning of a 42 years of sister-like friendship, who would lead me to meet my husband and later be affectionately called Happy Heidi in our home, to our daughters all the way into their 20s.
My name is Lisa. I met Heidi in the 5th grade after my family moved to California from Georgia. From these early years through 12th grade at Mesa Grande Academy, Erica, Heidi, and I became inseparable. We did life side by side. She was the yin to our yang, like 3 parts to a whole. It was always a party when Heidi showed up. She brought the spark that lit up the room. Where I was often quiet and reserved, she was uninhibited and full of enthusiasm, saying whatever came to mind and somehow creating a space where everyone just felt lighter, freer, and could be more themselves.
In our early elementary years, we spent hours at recess trading stickers and hanging from the monkey bars. But by middle school, our games turned to Rook, obsessed with playing it in the girls' bathroom of all places. So our poor teacher, Mr. Frazier, couldn't chase after us or enforce the no cards rule. Heidi and Lisa were infamous for their world-class partner telepathy, aka cheating, with style. And then, of course, there were the Heidi-inspired sneak attack boob bops as we would walk out of the bathroom. Silly, mischievous, so full of laughter that was just her.
By high school, we were still 3 peas in a pod. If there was a sign-up sheet, our names were on it. Sports, handbells, choir, you name it. The activity itself didn't matter as much as the fact that we'd be together with friends. Bonus points if there was travel tour involved. We even joined the water ski club, which meant dragging ourselves out of bed before school to ski. But the real highlight was the weekend trips, sleeping bags under the stars on the sand, long days on the water, burning under the sun with freshly applied baby oil because apparently sunscreen just wasn't cool yet. We squeezed in every activity possible because if it meant more fun together, we were in. If there was fun to be had, Heidi was never on the sidelines. She truly was the heartbeat of every one of our adventures.
And of course, as we grew through high school, so our insecurities grew too, like is true for so many young girls. Sorry, someone should use it. Yeah. For us, it showed up in the full-blown obsession with fat-free everything. If it didn't have a fat-free label, it was banned. Ranch dressing? Absolutely not. Ketchup, on the other hand, went on everything. From salads to mashed potatoes to dip for carrots. Ice cream was, of course, also off limits, so we lived on fat-free frozen yogurt. We practically lived at Uncle Ray's with their frozen yogurt dispensers, often making entire meals out of it. And Heidi, true to form, enthusiastically took it further, swapping milk for water in her cereal and proudly packing ketchup and pickle sandwiches for lunch, as if everybody was doing it. But that was Heidi, never halfway about anything, always all in, always fully herself, even in the silliest of ways.
On weekends, we would often hang out with our siblings, Todd, Patria, and Laurel. After school on Fridays meant soup plantation, where we loaded our trays with every fat-free option we could find, followed by a movie. Saturday nights were spent at Todd and Heidi's house, making our own fat-free calzones and pizzas, and even fat-free cheesecake, where Darlene welcomed us with open arms. Their home became the hub of so many of our best memories. Heidi just had a way of creating those safe, fun places, not only for us, but for everyone around her.
Later during our sophomore years in college, our adventures took us abroad. Heidi studied in England, excited to be with her brother, and I was in Spain. During breaks, we traveled together. So 2 naive girls wandering Europe on penny budgets, dining with sandwich bags instead of utensils, and surviving on mystery meals that only required a can opener. I was the one with the maps and itineraries. She was the one who tossed them aside and said, let's just have an adventure. I made sure we caught the right train. She made sure we had a story to tell if we didn't. And together we found our rhythm in Europe the same way we found it in life. Equal parts practicality and impulsiveness, duty and delight. When we returned, we excitedly became roommates at Andrews University. It was our very first weekend as roomies that she introduced me to my now husband. With her uninhibited spontaneity and creative matchmaking, she eventually had us dating. She was so proud of her role in that, and I'll never stop being grateful. It's just one of the many ways she's forever shaped my life. And sometimes I joke that I basically married Heidi, just in husband form.
Our high school bond carried us straight into adult life. We stood by each other's sides at our weddings and carved out occasional long weekends together, traveling to California, Tennessee, Michigan, and Florida for time to laugh and reconnect. In Florida, we were fresh mommies with babies on our hips and toes in the sand, trying to convince ourselves it counted as rest. In Tennessee, we'd spend entire days on the screened-in porch with bottomless coffee, talking until late into the night. And in Michigan, it was all about squeezing into boats, soaking up the sun, and pretending we remembered how to water ski. Wherever we were, the laughter, the late-night conversations, and the easy rhythm of our friendship never changed.
As kids, I remember traveling with Heidi to visit her grandparents in Minnesota, where she soaked up the farm fields, her grandma's homemade biscuits and jam, and all the warmth that came with it. So it was no surprise when years later, she chased her own farm country dream in Michigan. And of course, it wasn't just cats and dogs. Heidi had goats, chickens, bunnies, lots of bunnies, and sometimes a horse, and even a snake, which we would joke might still be roaming throughout the house somewhere. Her animals made her so happy that they often strolled inside like they owned the place. I never knew if I'd open the door to a clucking chicken or Heidi herself. She also loved her acres of wood, spending hours out there with a chainsaw, making bonfires, carving magical trails lined with twinkle lights. That was her happy place, always coming back smiling, covered in sawdust, joy, and usually poison ivy days later. Her home was more than just a house. It was an extension of her heart, alive with love, laughter, and just her unshakable spirit. Heidi thrived as a mom, especially in being the fun mom, the kind who believed glitter was practically a food group. I'd walk into her house and never know what I was stepping into: slime experiments, glitter projects, hair dyeing sessions, or a dog wagging a freshly dyed tail. She was endlessly creative, upcycling furniture, crafting with epoxy, decorating with greenery, always finding ways to make life fun, messy, and memorable. And Heidi's joy didn't stop at her own doorstep. She was always scheming up ways to spread it around. One Thanksgiving, her family showed up at our house unannounced and stuck over 100 forks upside down in the yard with a sign that read, "You've been forked." And another Christmas, they flash mobbed us in a foot of snow to the Backstreet Boys, "Rock Your Body." That was Heidi, spontaneous, magnetic, and always leaving behind joy and a great, great story.
Heidi's joy wasn't just about laughter, it was about love. She was raw and vulnerable in sharing life, never pretending to be anything she wasn't. And yet what stood out most was how fully and deeply she loved. She had this way of showing up for people, of making room at the table and making you feel like you belonged. Her strength was in her wholeheartedness, her desire to embrace others just as they were. That's why she'll be remembered not only for the fun she brought into every room, but for the way she made you feel like you were the only one in it, valued and cherished. She wasn't just our treasured friend. She was like a sister, there through all of life's chapters. Heidi was the spark in every room, the laughter that loosened hearts, the kindness that made people feel seen. Her story is forever woven into ours, into the lives of everyone lucky enough to know her.
Yeah, Darlene, I'm not sure it was a good idea. I don't remember the year, but I know I was young, probably 5 or 6. Dan and Darlene had moved their family from Minnesota to California so Dan could become pastor at Calimesa, where my parents were members. Like with every new pastor, my parents had the Simpsons over for Sabbath lunch. I'm pretty sure that was the first time I spent time with someone who had become the part of my life for the next 4 decades. It might have been that first lunch or probably a later one, I'm not really sure. But I clearly remember ending up in the guest room with Heidi and Liz Simpson, no relation, as Liz egged Heidi and I on to kiss. My first kiss. But a couple weeks ago, Darlene broke my heart just a little, letting me know she did not think it was Heidi's first kiss. I'm sure I was around Heidi at church in those early years, but I was a grade behind at the time, our contact was limited. However, I skipped 5th grade and found myself in a new class with new people, and I began to form the closest friendships I have had throughout my life, and Heidi always at the core. Maybe it's because we knew each other very young, or I think more likely because of her personality. But I never recall a time feeling anything but comfortable with Heidi. Junior high especially is usually a time where boys and girls begin to form friendships, but there's still an awkwardness about being friends with the opposite sex. Heidi never played by these rules. Her genuineness and openness bridged any natural gap that was keeping boys and girls from being friends. Heidi, even at that age, could be friends with anyone as long as they could accept her for her, something those of us close to her never struggled to do. By high school, there was no question that Heidi was amongst my closest friends. Though it took longer to crack some other friendship nuts, I don't think I've ever had to wonder where I stood with Heidi. You didn't know that was coming? No. I always just felt comfortable with her, felt secure in being around her and not worrying whether I was accepted. What Heidi offered to those around her was something no junior high or high school boy could understand or appreciate. 3 decades plus later and a few psychology degrees, I can finally put a word to it. Heidi epitomized authenticity, being herself no matter the surroundings. And for all the insecurities I knew she had, ultimately exhibiting a comfort in her own skin, that one that is a rarity for a teenager, young adult, or let's face it, most full-fledged adults. Over the past few weeks, when I pause and think about Heidi, 2 themes keep coming to mind. As I've already said, she was authentic. She was who she was wherever she was. No impression management going on, even when it might not have been such a bad idea. I never had to guess where I stood with her, nor did I usually even have to guess what mood she was in or what she was thinking. In high school, with predictable timing, Heidi, while bending over in agony, would start off the day by yelling across campus at me, "I have cramps!" No filter, no hesitation. These moments demonstrated her transparency, which did not always meet social norms, but made Heidi so endearing in her honesty. The other thing that keeps coming to my mind was Heidi's joy, as best shown through her laugh. A laugh I can still hear in my head and pray I never forget. I can assure you, in the same moment she was proclaiming her abdominal pains for anyone within shouting distance, she was laughing. I know she experienced her fair share of sadness and heartache, but I don't think I've ever known anyone else in my life who experienced the same highs of joy as Heidi, a joy that was contagious and made being around her so inviting. Even when she was in pain, emotional or physical, she used her humor to never let things get too bleak. She could always break the tension in the room with that laugh. Each year of high school just got better, especially in those friendships strengthening and laying the foundation for lifelong bonds. We shared a love of volleyball, and in the early years, the boys and girls teams sometimes traveled together. I even once found myself in a van full of girls driven by Kathy on the way to one of their games. I will skip over the specifics of what occurred on the road trip, but I'm happy to report that Heidi was at the center of it. I was in bell choir first thing each morning with Heidi, Lisa, and Erica the morning she showed up on time. Heidi brought a certain energy to those early morning sessions, making them much more tolerable. Junior year began strong with a trip to the East Coast led by our fearless Mr. Becker. Yet somehow Heidi, Lisa, Erica, Rob, myself, and a few seniors ended up in Mr. Chevrier's van. I wouldn't exactly call it the party van, but with Heidi in it, there was rarely a dull moment, and if we all started falling asleep, Ms. Chevrier would just turn on the lights to make sure she wasn't the only one that had to be awake. In high school, especially those last 2 years, I found myself being closer to a trio of girls that continually seemed to go against the common belief that groups of 3 girls just don't work. I enjoyed both being friends with them, but also watching them from the outside, seeing a depth of friendship I so hope my daughters find in lifelong friends. After high school, Heidi and I, along with Gretchen, Heather, Rob, ended up at La Sierra. Honestly, it was not a great year for me, and I would not return there for my sophomore year of college. But the time spent with Heidi was one of the few highlights of that year. Leaving campus to get ice cream, movies, or visiting her future sister-in-law at the Tyler Mall were the events that salvaged that year for me. After freshman year of college, Heidi left California for Newbold, as I ended up in Walla Walla for the last 2 years of college. However, we both returned to Southern California after college for graduate school at Loma Linda. Heidi rented a house with a friend not far from the campus, and I remember going there rather often during those years. In fact, after a particularly hard breakup, I drove straight to Heidi's house, knowing being with a lifelong friend was where I wanted to be. There's something about those enduring relationships that provide a place to land when life is at its toughest. After I graduated in 2006, Robin and I relocated to the Central Coast. John and Heidi were now married and settled in Loma Linda. Looking back, I so regret not finding more opportunities to see them, never imagining they would end up back east, where it would be so much harder to find time to be together. But work and then kids, just not surprisingly, got in the way. When I learned that Heidi and John were moving to Michigan, it was very weird, as Heidi was my last close friend to be in Southern California. I didn't live in Southern California any longer, but it just didn't feel right that all my closest high school friends were now living so far away. I did have a few opportunities to see Heidi in those years. We had a wonderful time when John and Heidi and kids came to vacation in our area. And shortly after, we were together again with Erica and Lisa for our 20th high school reunion. Our phone calls over the years were wonderful and always made it seem like no time had passed, but looking back, it was not enough. A few weeks ago, I was in Michigan for Heidi's service back there, being with Erica, Lisa, Rob, Patria, Laurel, Todd, Karina, Lisa H. It was a time that was beyond special. I will cherish those times forever, but not having Heidi there was so hard to grasp. Once, while I was trying to think of who to text some of the pictures we took too, I almost searched for Heidi in my phone. Her absence created a clear void, especially since no one would have enjoyed that time together more than Heidi. I wrote most of this well over a week ago, but even last night, it wasn't finished. I did not have an ending. Maybe my writer's block comes from the realization that I should not have to be writing an ending to my history with Heidi, as it shouldn't be at an end. There should be many years left to make new memories, remember old memories together, or to share some more phone calls about life's struggles. It is ultimately not right, and it's unexplainable that we have to be here today. But since we don't have a choice, the best we can do is to remember Heidi for who she was and that which she brought to our lives.
look upon the one who bled to save me and walk with him for all eternity. There will be a day when all will bow before him. There will be a day when death will be no more. Standing face to face with he who died and rose again. Holy, holy is the Lord. In every prayer we prayed in desperation. Your songs of faith we sang her down in fear. But in the end, we'll see it all was worth it when he returns and wipes away our tears. Oh, there will be a day when all will bow before him. There will be a day when death will be no more. Standing face to face with he who died and rose again. Holy, holy is the Lord. On that day, we join the resurrection and stand beside the heroes of the faith. With one voice, 1,000 generations sing, worthy is the Lamb who was slain. On that day, we join the resurrection and stand beside the heroes of the faith. With one voice, 1,000 generations sing, worthy I can hear him say, yeah. Nothing will ever come
First of all, I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for worshiping with us. Those were a couple of Heidi's favorite worship songs. On October 3rd, 2004, Heidi officially became my stepmom, or as I once referred to her, Mom 2 Electric Boogaloo. Because she really was a second mom to me and Seth. We had sort of known her all our lives since we grew up in her dad's church, but once she started seeing my dad, she just clicked into place like she was meant to be there. There are so many memories of different family adventures we went on together, whether it was going on a recycling frenzy and using the money to buy plane tickets to Hawaii, or dressing up in all black and putting on war paint so we could go fork the yard of a family friend. That's not to say that there weren't bumps in the road. There was a period of time when I was in middle school where Dad and Heidi were going through a rough patch and were considering getting divorced. The first thing I remember asking Heidi was, so does that mean Seth and I are gonna go between 3 houses now? Because I had no real idea of custody issues or anything like that at the time. I just knew that we went back and forth with Mom and Dad, so now Heidi was, of course, a part of that. Why wouldn't she be? She was our mom just as much as the person Seth and I call Mom. And what a miracle that was. To have a family where my mom and dad and stepmom all got along. You hear all kinds of horror stories about situations like ours. There's even the trope of the evil stepmother. But Heidi was nothing like that. She not only loved me and Seth as her own, but she loved Andrew, our half-brother, too. I was going through old pictures, and I found so many where he's on trips with us to the beach or the park or hiking up to rivers and lakes. I found an especially cute one of him making silly faces at Anna in her car seat, trying to make her laugh. Heidi had a heart for making people feel included and was genuine about it too. She didn't just bring Andrew along because she felt obligated to or anything. She genuinely loved you so much, kid. Every time we talked on the phone, she'd ask how you were doing and wanted to know what was going on in your life. I know that she had hopes that if Seth and I ever moved out there, that maybe you would get to come along too. The thing about Heidi is that she was not only great at loving people, but loving people as they are. Unfortunately, a lot of us aren't ready to be loved as we are. I know that's something I've had a hard time with on and off throughout my life. Even then, though, I knew Heidi was safe. Most of you probably don't know this about me or will really understand what it means, but I'm non-binary. It took me a while to understand this about myself, and even longer for me to come to terms with it or tell anyone about it. I remember being probably around 21 or 22, visiting Dad, Heidi, and the kids one winter. And as Heidi and I were taking a walk around the pond together, out of the blue, she asked me, "So, are you a boy now?" Bear in mind that I hadn't come out to anyone yet, hadn't even begun to start thinking about how and if I would. So hearing her ask that and knowing that she had somehow really seen me when I hadn't been ready to be seen, just about caused my heart to fall out of my butt. If it had been anyone else, with the exception of a few other people, I would have denied and deflected. But Heidi was safe. And she was the kind of safe where even if she had no idea what I was talking about, she would love me and probably make some kind of silly or inappropriate joke to help break the tension. And so I was honest with her. Told her that I wasn't a boy, but I didn't think I was a girl either, and that I might be something in between. She didn't question it. She didn't understand it either, but she just accepted it as something she needed to learn about. And she made sure to remind me how loved I was. If there's one thing I can hold with absolute certainty in my heart about Heidi, it's that she loved us kids so freaking much. And I know we love her so freaking much right back. Even with arguments and misunderstandings or miscommunications, there was never any doubt about that. And that's why this hurts so much. Because we still have all of this love in us that we're not going to be able to give to her until we see her again. I'm going to end this with a couple of fun facts because I used to love telling her random facts and bits of trivia I'd learned. Fact number 1. It takes a little over 8 minutes for the light of the sun to reach the earth, meaning that if the sun were to suddenly vanish, we wouldn't know it happened until 8 minutes later. Fact number 2. There is an infinity between each number in our counting system. Don't believe me? Let's look at the numbers between 1 and 2. We have 1.1, 1.01, 1.001, 1.00001, and so on. The reason I'm telling you these particular facts is because we have lost a sun in our lives, a star that shined so brightly we sometimes didn't know what to do with it. But even though she's gone, her light is still shining. And if we're only given 8 minutes of light left, by looking into the infinities between each one of those minutes, we can stretch her light on and on and on until we're able to see her face to face once more. Heidi, we miss you so much that there aren't words to describe it. But we're going to try our best to keep shining for you down here. We love you so much. Give Jesus a high five for me.
I'm calling it my emotional support child. Well, there seems to be a theme. I'm John, by the way. I'm the husband, in case people didn't know that. You're probably going to hear a lot of the similar kind of things from the words I have. Those of you who were at the Michigan service, you're going to find most of it's the same. I changed a few things here and there. I spent some time trying to come up with a new thing and realized that this is what I wanted to say. It's what I said there, and it's what I'm going to say here, too. So those of you who have heard it, sorry, hear it again. See, the thing is, you know, you're hearing all the good stuff about Heidi, and there is nothing but good, well, as much as any of us who have both the good stuff and the not so good stuff in us, right? But sometimes Heidi was misunderstood, I believe, and so I feel compelled to try to bring some clarity to who Heidi was, if I'm able. Again, because whether or not it should matter to me what people think of Heidi, it does. So, what's the first thing most of you think of when you think about Heidi? All right, yes, and nobody here said quiet, shy, or reserved. The most common comment I've always heard about Heidi is that she had an energy, a presence about her, that she lights up a room. This is true. It's always been. It's what first drew me to her. She has always had that presence, that enthusiasm since I've known her. She actually had a license plate frame made that said, "I'm not loud, just enthusiastic." Heidi once thought that this presence or enthusiasm was a handicap, an emotional flaw. She didn't realize until the last couple years of her life what a gift it really was. Those of you who have a Heidi in your lives will know that there is another side of the coin. Like many beautiful things, Heidi could be fragile. She could be devastated by comments from random strangers, or worse, from friends. Sadly, those things plagued her for a lot of her life. But as I mentioned, in the last few years, Heidi had really started owning her awesomeness, and it was wonderful. She had a pennant that's hanging in her house. Actually, it's hanging in the hall over there. You'll get to see it in a little bit. That says, "I just awesomed all over the place." She also had a plaque made that is right by our front door. Actually, it's over there too right now. That says, "Don't forget to sparkle." Yes, she made it. Yep. Those are both so Heidi. Heidi loved people. In fact, she was great at loving people. And she was real as capable as anyone is capable of being. Does that mean that she was flawless or had attained enlightenment? Of course not. She had flaws, as we all do, and she was overly concerned with them. To me, Heidi is a fantastic example of how most of us really are, conflicted in many things. We struggle with aspects of faith and life. We're insecure about ourselves and our places and relationships and our purposes. Heidi just didn't try to be clever about hiding it. Those who spent any time with her will know that she was not guarded about her flaws, as others have said, and insecurities, but would easily tell you way more than she should have in a cancel culture especially, right? I'm sure there are those in this room who were at some point caught by surprise by things Heidi might say. She was not encumbered by the typical rules of polite discourse. If she had a thought, it would most likely be spoken, and may or may not have been entirely appropriate. I know that it has taken a few people some time to actually realize that she wasn't a rude person or trying to be controversial. She was just gloriously unfiltered. You almost always knew where you stood with Heidi, and she never really understood why people spent so much time and spent so much effort trying to be overly polite or respectful and careful with conversation when maybe you could just say the thing that needed to be said. She was also aware that many folks are not like that, and she was always so afraid of putting her foot in her mouth. And she did. She did put her foot in her mouth. She did make people uncomfortable sometimes, and there were a fair share of awkward moments, but they were almost always the result of a good intention. On the other hand, there were also many times when she was able to break through the constraints of politeness and get right to the heart of a matter with somebody. I've seen her bring healing to many, and I mean many, people, because she would ask the hard or awkward questions. Not because she was clever or had any special or particular wisdom, or most importantly, any specific agenda, but because she was willing and gifted to do so. If you spent enough time with Heidi, you would realize that she, at her heart, just wanted to connect, laugh, play, and be helpful like young children do on the playground before they learn to be careful. And the thing is, we need people like that in our lives and in our world. Thank you. Just like we need people who can be very tactful in certain situations, we need people who will be uncomfortably honest in others. With regard to church, she was not overly stuck in her head, dogma, or the minutiae of religiosity. She just loved Jesus, purely, in the closest way to childlike that I know. For those of you who worshiped with Heidi, you will know exactly what I mean. For those of you who didn't, pay attention at the end of the slideshow and you'll see. So that, once again, in a very small and very incomplete nutshell, is my Heidi. If she ever offended you, she's sorry. But if you were fortunate enough to have been someone that was on the receiving end of Heidi noticing you from across the room and then squealing with delight as she rushed over to give you a great big hug, then thank the Father that made her that way.
somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dream that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can't I see trees of green and red roses too. I'll watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white, the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh, someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that you dare to, why, oh why can't I when clouds veil sun and disaster comes, oh my soul, oh my soul. When waters rise and hope takes flight, oh my soul, oh my soul, oh my soul. Ever faithful, ever ever true. You, I know, you never let go. 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 When clouds brought rain and disaster came, oh my soul, oh my soul. When waters rose and hope had flown, oh my soul, oh my soul, oh my soul. Ever faithful, ever true. You, I know, you never let go. 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 I'll see you when I get there, shining like the sun. I'll see you when I get there, into your arms I'll run. I see I'll see you when I get there, when my life's complete. Will you take me to Jesus' feet? Hand in hand we'll sing for you. We're gonna sing for you. We're gonna sing for you. We're gonna sing for you, Jesus. We're gonna sing for you.
I just bet you most of you have never been to a memorial service or a funeral like this before. We have just taken time to bring honor to the life of a very amazing person. Heidi was every bit as amazing as she is depicted here by each one here today, so incredibly well. You could tell that Heidi and her friend's connection with Mesa Grande was a big deal. A very big deal. So what we thought would be a wonderful thing is for us to set up a worthy student fund in honor of Heidi at Mesa Grande. So as you leave today, the principal, Mr. Riddle, I think that's who it's going to be out there by the door, will have one of these for you, which will tell you how to do that. Tammy and I are going to contribute, first of all, I didn't tell you this, did I, babe? We're going to start everything off with $1,000. Now, some of you will go way bigger than that, and some not so big, but it doesn't make any difference. It all goes together to honor Heidi and to benefit a lot of worthy kids. Okay? All right.
Wow. Wow. Thank you all for being here. The way that this works out, we're going to ask the family to leave after prayer. They're going to be over in the reception hall. where you guys can greet them, say condolences, see some more memory wall of Heidi, share stories, share laughter and tears, some hugs, whatever floats your boat. Thank you for being here again, and thanks for giving me this honor. Let's bow our heads. Thank you, Lord. For time. Help us to treasure what you've given us. Help us to use it wisely. Thank you for the time that you gave us with Heidi. Though we want more, be with us as we are without her. Help us to take that time to remember you and her as we continue our life on this earth, Lord. Give us direction when we need it. Give us a hug when we need it. Thank you. Amen.